Before we get rocking and rolling, I just wanted to, I always do this for every single one. We have free CE opportunities offered until the end of March of this year. Go to aspendentalce.com/welcome. It'll give you an opportunity to check out our entire CE catalog, not just our Aspen doctors, but our non-Aspen dentists, and as well are able to access that. So check that out. Without further ado, I want to be able to introduce the man of the half hour, Dr. Ryan Evans. How's it going, Doc?
Going great, man. Happy to be here.
Awesome. This is my good friend. So we're going to make it super casual, and I want to allow everybody's questions that come in the opportunity to get answered. But first and foremost, tell us your story.
Yeah, what's up, guys? Yeah, so like Derek said, this is, I would say, more about you guys than me or him. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Always happy to, to address anything that's on your guys' mind. But so my story started, in a similar position to where you guys are at right now, albeit not virtually, but, just getting to know some of the people on the Aspen academic team throughout my time in dental school. And it was January 4 years ago, January of 17. I was getting ready to graduate. It started to actually feel real. And as I started my job hunt, the market in LA wasn't ideal. I was getting offers for, 1 day a week at different offices, and, the cost of living in LA is crazy. So I reached out to, my connection is with the Aspen academic team, just like Derek is for you guys. And we looked for opportunities. We kind of looked over the country for where I would have room to grow, both as a, in the business and as a clinician. And we ended up going to Texas. So I never thought I was going to leave Southern California, but just kind of after evaluating options, I went to Texas. I worked as an associate for a year under Dr. Altawadi. He's still a good friend till today. After about a year, things were going well. I liked it. I was feeling, gaining confidence clinically and professionally. And I moved down to San Antonio for a year, and I opened an Aspen in San Antonio, and that was great. It was going well. And, after 2 years, the opportunity came up to come help Aspen grow in California. So I moved back last summer and helped open a couple in Central California, and we've been open for just about a year here in Palm Desert. So that's the summary.
You make me cry, man.
Yeah.
I miss you. Yeah, so that was great. That was kind of one of the first questions. But first and foremost, can you tell everybody where you attended, just in the event that they didn't read the email about where you went, and then who Dr. Altawadi is as well?
Yeah. Well, so I went to I grew up in Southern California. I went to UC Santa Barbara for undergrad, and then UCLA for dental school. Didn't do a GPR. I started working straight out. And so Dr. Altawadi, he's a couple years older than me. He's also a Southern California guy. He went to USC Dental School, and he bought a couple of practices in Texas and had those up and running when the opportunity came for me to go out, and when he was looking for an associate.
Nice. So one of the questions that we had is like, you've briefly talked about it. Maybe we can go into a little bit more detail. What steps did you take after dental school to get to where you are today? So you mentioned essentially, going out to Texas. What was your experience in Texas when it came to inside the office? And then what was kind of your idea of and your process of moving back?
Yeah, well, so the steps I took, from day one, I feel like I've always been vocal in terms of what I wanted. So that's been one of the great things about Aspen is there's, it's such a huge network of people, and, there's all sorts of different opportunities available. So for me, what I wanted was I wanted to be an associate and work under an experienced doctor, and, preferably someone I got along with. And so right out of the gate, Aspen, kind of looked around, and, I had a couple of interviews, talked to a couple different people, and they helped me find that first thing I wanted. Out of school, I couldn't have told you what these last 4 years, the journey I've been on, but, coming out of school, that's what I wanted. And Aspen, gave me some options, and we made it happen. They found that to me. And yeah, I had to be a little bit flexible. Like, I never thought I was going to leave Southern California, but to get the opportunity that I personally wanted, not that I was being placed in, that I had to leave California for a little bit. And then moving from there, same thing. Just, I knew I wanted to, get closer to home, and I knew I wanted to own multiple practices. And, just by making it known and taking the steps necessary to get there, the people from Aspen want us all to succeed. And, they've done everything they could to get me here as well.
And for anybody that's interested in wanting to know, the metric side of succeeding or the development side of succeeding, we can always continue this conversation at a future time. I'll provide my contact information afterwards too. Christina Light, she's a current UCLA dental student, asked, you joined Aspen straight out of dental school, or did you do any type of GPR AEGD first? I know your story, but go ahead and tell it. And if you have any experiences from some of your friends that maybe went into GPR or AEGD as well.
Yeah, so I decided I wanted to go straight in. I knew I wanted to do general from the beginning of dental school. So I did a ton of work in clinic. Like, I pretty much graduated by the end of my third year. So I felt pretty confident clinically. And I talked to a lot of people older than me. And from what I heard, so I didn't go do a GPR, I didn't do an AEGD. But from what I've heard is that they can either be amazing or they can be a waste of time. So I've talked to some people that have done GPRs, and they said, it was like fourth year of dental school all over again. And I know some other kids who they did 1 year and they're amazing dentists. They got, they could never have replicated that clinical experience that they got. So it's kind of a mixed bag. I'm all for, doing GPRs, AEGDs. Just make sure they're not all the same. So just make sure you talk to kids that have gone through those programs so you know exactly what you're getting into. But if you can find a good one, I mean, by all means, it's, why not?
Good answer. Good answer. And, she had a follow-up, and I'll kind of help out with this, but I'll let you start off. Can you join Aspen as a specialist? OMFS, endo, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. So we, mainly the main specialties that we do have are oral surgery and endodontist. We just hired an oral surgeon. He's been with us for about 4 months now. And then we just signed an endodontist literally last week. So I've wanted an endodontist for, pretty much since we've opened. But yeah, there's plenty of opportunities for specialty as well.
Yeah, and obviously it's a little bit different of a scenario for oral surgeons in endo. They don't work straight out of one office. It's more on a regional basis. So they're typically traveling from location to location, and they have their team. I know they get compensated very handsomely. So that's also a nice feature of it. But more often than not, yeah, we have those opportunities as well. You won't be specifically in one particular office, so we can cover details on that as well. What about first of all, happy match day to everybody that, applied and got into where they wanted to go, or is now starting to think about the job process. Dr. Evans, when I know you talked about this a little bit too, like what was your thought process when it came to deciding Aspen over private practice, other than the whole, 1 day a week thing?
So yeah, that was kind of the first thing, but then mainly the opportunities for growth. They're expanding nationwide, and they have there's such a support system that's already in place. They provided me with the best opportunity to grow into a multiple practice owner sooner than later. And that was really the big thing for me. That, and then just the people in the company, man. When I started off, I knew a couple people, and over the years, going to events, going to meetings, just, from various phone calls, there's so many cool people across the country. And, I've just, I've never been in an Aspen event or anything where, I was rubbed the wrong way, or, I didn't find a lot of people that I genuinely got along with. So, the network has been something that's kept me in as well.
Awesome. Well, I like to hear that because I'd like to think that I'm a part of that. You, you also mentioned events. So with that said, I'm actually going to show this real quickly. We're actually doing our next virtual vibe session. Unfortunately, we haven't been doing our vibes in person since COVID, but can you tell some of the students a little bit about your experiences at Vibe and what that was all about?
Yeah. So in terms of vibe, I kind of skipped over that part of my story. But when I was a little bit on the fence, kind of trying to figure out what my next move was, I got invited to a vibe session. Obviously, it wasn't it was in person, it wasn't virtual. So at that time, Aspen sponsored Danica Patrick's NASCAR car. So she had a race in Atlanta, Georgia. So I got to go to Atlanta and go to one of Danica's races and meet a bunch of people that work in the corporate offices, and then also, a lot of practicing doctors. And just from being able to meet and talk to people and kind of put a face to the whole story, because, you hear so many things and you don't know what to believe. But when I could sit down and talk to a lot of people, and they reminded me of a bunch of kids I went to dental school with, just normal, down to earth people. It made me feel a lot more comfortable making the leap and signing with Aspen. So, going to the Vibe events just to be able to talk to some people and, ask them questions and, hear about their situation and their part of the country. It helps a lot.
Yeah, and I just had the Bitly and the QR code up. I'll put it up towards the end. Second of all, I did see somebody raise their hand on there. If you have any questions, feel free to just throw them in the Q&A. Yeah, unfortunately, we have to comply with what's going on in this world, and so we have had to move Vibe virtually, at least for this year. But this is the perfect opportunity to put faces to names if you ever had conversation with people, and also hear the stories. More often than not, they're going to be the success stories of the company. Individuals going from associate to owner in the process, and even individuals that didn't start with Aspen Dental that eventually have grown within Aspen Dental. So it is a great opportunity. Now, for those to sign up, just a heads up, it's mostly for the fourth years. So any D3s at UOP or fourth years for any of the other schools, we are opening our doors up for this next virtual Vibe to third years as well. So I will put that back up so that if anybody is interested in wanting to go, it is a very laid back opportunity to get to know us, get to know the CEO, and get to know everybody on the support side, in addition to everybody that works in the offices. So I'll make sure to email this out to everybody, and then I'll put it up before we take off as well. What advice, Doc, do you have for those that are considered like third years or fourth years and are either, you weren't in the situation, but maybe they're overwhelmed with the idea of like, shoot, COVID, maybe I didn't see as many people, or maybe I'm a little worried about the process, or maybe they didn't get into their residency. What advice do you have for them as far as starting the process?
I mean, the first thing I would say to people in that situation, or really any dental student, just take a breath, like relax, like, when you're finishing school, like you're trying to finish your requirements, you got student loans, it's all so overwhelming. And like, I definitely, everything works out okay. Like life is overwhelming, starting your career is overwhelming, but I promise you everything's going to work out for everybody sooner or later. So everyone just relax. Your loans are going to be okay. Your life's going to be okay. But I don't know, for third and fourth year students, like if I could go back to dental school, obviously I would have done as many procedures as you possibly can. I know it's hard because of COVID, but even if your option is going and playing a round of golf, or even if you could just go do an occlusal filling in clinic, go do that filling, get as many clinical reps as you possibly can. The other thing is I would have utilized my faculty more. So in school, you're so overwhelmed. You have this test, you're trying to get this denture done, and we paid so much money to be there, and it's such a think tank. for instance, like today or like, you know, whatever, last month I go and I try to look up something about implant crowns. And so I look up articles, and the people that wrote my articles were my old, you know, they used to cover me in clinic. They used to be right there. And like, I could have at any point emailed them and gone to their office and picked their brain. So take advantage of all those resources in school while you can. That's something I would have done as well. I'm not sure if that was your exact question, Derek, but that's
Yeah, no, that was beautiful. I'm getting teary-eyed again. And you really get to me. We did have a question, and I think this will pertain to you, but I'm going to definitely help you out with this as well. What kind of job opportunities are there for dental students? So, for example, January 2021, they probably graduate 2021 or 2022. How did that work out for you?
I'll let you take it first, Derek. Go for it.
Yeah. So as an example, we've already hired 300 plus 2021 grads to start once they graduate. So, you know, at that particular point, you're thinking, well, all I got to do is just finish up my rotation, you know, get my degree, and now I already got a job set up. So, you know, you could start, if you're 2022, you start as early as the fall or like the first semester of your final year and start inquiring, especially if you know that you're looking to do general dentistry and you've gone to enough events or you've seen enough from Aspen Dental, you can commit to locations or regions if there are opportunities there today. And the reason why that's so important, first of all, is we do a lot of our hiring based on high potential. So not based on your clinical abilities. We know that you're not necessarily the best clinician and that you will get better as you continue, but it's those that have a very strong motivation to continue to improve, the ones that have great communication skills and understand kind of our model. I'll definitely let Dr. Evans kind of explain the type of individuals that he's seen and some of their stories. But I mean, essentially you can, you know, inquire with either myself or one of my colleagues, depending on what district you're in, and ask them, you know, like, I graduate in May, June, July. I'd like to have a job as soon as possible. What opportunities can you offer me? And we'll be able to help you from there. We do recommend always checking out aspendentaljobs.com. However, we offer opportunities and they employ me and my team in order to offer these opportunities even before they're available. We call it forecasting. So, you know, being able to meet a doctor and them understanding, because they're the ones hiring you, them understanding, all right, well, you know, I'm eventually going to need an associate or a lead doctor in my offices. I'm going to start reaching out to the dental students and seeing if there are any students that have the potential to come in, and I'd be able to mentor them and develop. And the beautiful part is you get paid while you do that as well. So that's kind of the beautiful part. But Dr. Evans, A, do you remember when you formally accepted a position? And B, what was kind of, you know, are you familiar with kind of the process as far as like looking for potential doctors?
Well, yeah, I definitely remember the day. So I was super stressed out. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know what the next move was. I didn't know if I really wanted to, you know, if going to Texas was the right move. And so I took a day off of clinic, and I was like, you know, I was talking to my parents, I was talking to friends, and, you know, I finally was just like, yes, like this is, you know, like this move is going to give me the most opportunity at this point in my life. So let's do it. So it was a happy day. Like, you know, once I finally was just like, yes, I'm going to do this, it was a great day. I was sitting in my apartment in Santa Monica, and I was like, yep, it's going to happen. And then what was the second part of that, Derek?
So the second part is, you know, you've been in Texas, you've, you know, helped open offices. Have you ever hired anybody? Have you participated in the hiring process? And if so, like, what was that hiring process like from your end?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I've met a lot of different doctors, you know, some that were casually interviewing and some that really wanted the job. And most of the time, the initial conversations it's kind of a compatibility thing. Like if you're looking for a doctor in your own office, you want to be somewhat compatible in terms of not necessarily lifestyle, but like treatment wise, like make sure you guys are semi on the same page. You don't butt heads. But most of the time it's pretty casual conversation. Just, is this a good guy or is this good girl? Like, does this person do they have a good head on their shoulders? Obviously, everyone's smart enough. Everyone went to dental school, but it's, is this a good person that's going to take care of the patients the same way that I would? And I found that most of the time the answer is yes. Almost everyone's in dentistry for the right reasons. So, a lot of times the hiring process, at least from my perspective, is just a casual conversation. Moving forward from there, I've trained a few doctors that have been hired, not necessarily to work with me in my offices. But basically it's there's a 3 to 4 week training program depending on where you're going, but it's, you kind of ease into it. So like the first week when the doctor's training with me, they just follow me around. They just kind of hang out. They watch, how I work the schedule, like what I'm doing procedure wise, ask questions, whatever. The second week, maybe it'll be like dental school where it's like one patient in the morning, one patient in the afternoon, like you can just do your crown prep, or whatever. And then from there, it's kind of doctor by doctor. Some people are a little bit, they want to, ramp it up a little more. Other people, maybe go to 2 patients in the morning, and it's just kind of a slow progression, and your skills come, man. Like after a month or two, in your first month, you'll do more dentistry than you did all of dental school. And just, after those repetitions, after you're not scared if you got the IA number or not, like, you got it done. Like, you're not concerned about little things that at one point concerned you. Everything else just kind of comes naturally.
Dang. So you had to do all that for free before you actually started producing, huh?
No, Derek, we this wasn't planned, guys. I swear. Yeah, no, you get paid the whole time. You get, as soon as you clock in, you get paid for the day. So it's not a concern about that either.
Yeah, just to clarify, I know I say silly things like that. You receive something called a daily guarantee. So that's something, and we can always go into detail, especially when I come to your school or present virtually to your school. There is something called a daily guarantee that never goes away, which is beautiful. So no matter what you discuss as far as opportunity financially, that is going to be at least your secure line. And then from there, based on the success, not just of you as an individual, but as the success of the entire office, you will have the ability to get something called profit sharing, which is very closely, it's essentially money from the success of that office. So we can certainly go into details on that at a future time. Hi, Ryan. Glad to see a Walsett alumni doing well. Was just curious, how you knew you wanted to do GP instead of specialty?
Do you work for Dr. Walsett? She can't answer me, but
yeah, he can't answer.
So I guess I'll catch everybody. So when I was an undergrad, when I was at Santa Barbara, it was the beginning of my sophomore year at Santa Barbara. And I was like, all right, if I'm going to be a dentist, I got to get my act together. And like literally that day, I go on my email, and from the biology listserv, there was a posting for, dental intern wanted. And I was like, let's do it. I called. He said, come on down. And I was so excited. I drove to downtown Santa Barbara wearing a tank top and flip flops. And I just showed up in this guy's dental office. And I was like, I'm here for the internship. And he was super cool. And so I ended up working for Dr. Walseth for 4 years. I did 3 while I was in undergrad. And then I took a year off between dental school and UCLA, and I worked at his dental office full time. And so going back, it was from that, my experience in his private practice, that led to me knowing I wanted to do general.
Nice.
I always loved the small business side of it. But then what I liked even more was, so Dr. Walseth is, he was about 70 when I was working for him. And so he'd been in private practice for, almost 40 years. So he had these lifetime patients, and I loved it. Like, he knew every patient very, very well. So just those lifetime, bonds that you can make as a general dentist, I loved that as well, where it's not, specialty is awesome too. I have nothing bad to say about an endo or OS. Like they're awesome as well. But just like, if you're an endo, you do the endo and then that's it. Whereas with GPs doing that, that long-term follow-up care.
Yeah, think about it. It's your license. You get to do what you think is best for the patient. And we really, empower our doctors in order to do that. For those who think, Aspen Dental Management, the business side, has anything to do with any decisions that Dr. Evans or any of the doctors make, that's whatsoever. So we can definitely cover that at a future time. So props to Danny Doe. He said he worked with Dr. Wellseth for 3 years. He's a UCSF grad D1 representing. So
awesome, man.
That's, I think that's a great spot to leave it. I know you got to get to dinner and, you get to breathe air outside of just your office and your house. So I want to, first of all, thank Dr. Evans once again regarding the opportunity. Real quickly, I am going to show this one more time, and I'll be emailing this out to everybody. First, again, the Aspen Dental CE opportunity, aspendentalce.com/welcome. Free to all dental students until the end of March of this year. Potentially going to be extending that as well. And then also for any third years and fourth years, 2021 or 2022 grads, I will be sending out a link regarding our Vibe session that will be coming out February 6th. Very low pressure. You have the opportunity to come, get to virtually meet the chief clinical officer and the CEO of the company, in addition to other doctors that are going to share their stories, some that not only have done the experience from straight out of dental school, but also the experience of those that have gone in private practice or other DSOs and then come to Aspen Dental and been successful as well. So that'll give you another opportunity to be exposed to everybody. And finally, if y'all have any questions, there's my contact information. I'll send it in the email. Send me a text. That's my number that you can text me at to schedule a time to chat, or you can email myself or Dr. Evans. Dr. Evans as well, just before you go, you said that you are open to the opportunities of shadowing, especially for fourth years or 2021 grads, right?
You read my mind, Derek. I was literally just going to say, I don't have to run off. If any of you guys have other questions, feel free to throw them in the chat box. I'm happy to answer them. It's not a rush off thing. But yeah, absolutely. In terms of shadowing, I'm all for it. You guys reach out to Derek. You come spend a morning out here or whatever. We get lunch and, you can hang out, see a normal day in the life. And I'm a pretty open book, maybe more so than I should be, but yeah, like I'll be just, if you guys have any questions or if you ever want to come hang out, I'm more than happy to accommodate.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, you mentioned it, we're both open books, and quite honestly, our entire company is a fairly open book when it comes to answering the questions that you think might be challenging, maybe the questions that you might think are stupid, the questions that that will allow you to, maybe you're skeptical of it, and we'd be happy to cover that information. I appreciate it, Dr. Evans, but I'm gonna keep it pretty tight. I know Ryan Lucio's probably waiting for you. I want to say thank you to everybody that's on here. We had a great turnout. Alyssa, if you're listening, I still owe you a text message, so I'm gonna text you soon. But again, thank you so much for everybody. And if you have any questions, I'll be sending out an email shortly regarding this, and I'll also be sending out, we're doing a raffle as well, so we'll send out the offer to the winner. And Dr. Evans, I'll be sending you some swag your way as well.
Thank you. Thanks,
all right,
guys.
good night, everyone. Thank you so much. We'll see you all soon. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye, guys.